Hey, my name is Meg. Welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to dig into something that I have been sitting on for a while. I bought this, I believe, at least a couple months ago. I'd have to look back to see exactly when. And I just haven't had the chance to film with it. And I knew the first time I used it, I really wanted to do a video with it. So here it is. I got the Danessa Myricks Groundwork. This is the volume 2, the Blooming Romance, which is like the more like blush tones kind of one. There's a volume 1 that she had previously released that was more like neutral. Kind of the whole idea is it's for like, you know, bronzer, contour, brows. Like really you're supposed to be able to use it however you want, but to me, those are the primary ways. And this one's a lot more like blushy tones. So I thought it would be fun to try to see how much of my face that we can do with it. I'm planning on doing some base, like the cheek color, eyeshadow, lips, everything. So let's just, well, not everything, those things. So if you're interested in seeing what I create with that, then keep on watching. Right, here is the package itself. I absolutely love this inner packaging. The palette is just gorgeous, very like luxe feeling, which one would hope. Like this was not cheap. This was $88 Canadian, but it's supposed to be a very versatile, like for multiple uses palette. So I would think that you're kind of investing in something like that. And it's like Danessa Myricks. It's like, you know, it's not, I don't think she's necessarily classified as a luxury brand, but she's high-end. You can find this, I did get it in person at a Sephora, but you can, I think, mostly find it online. I don't think like every Sephora, at least in Canada, carries too much of the Danessa Myricks line. All right, and then the inside of the palette looks like this. Try not to blind you with the mirror. So if you're not familiar with the Groundworks palettes, the way they work, let's just fold that over. You have so there's what 10 kind of sections here all together, and each one has the bigger section is like called like a pomade, I think is what they refer to it as, and then the smaller section is a powdered product. I naturally want to say shadow, but technically like these are to be used kind of all over. So I guess like you could, my plan is you could use like the pomade as like a cream blush and then later go over with the powder on top. But yeah, these are just really beautiful blushy tones. There's definitely a mix of like cool and warmth to them. But yeah, I think there's a great selection. And the neat thing too, I want to be careful doing it, but there's, let me try to get it. They're magnetic, so you can pull them out. There's a little like tab thing in here, and so you can pull those out. So if you're finding it harder to get into any of the shades, it might be easiest to do that if like you're using a bigger brush and it's too big. But yeah, let's just start digging in right away. I have my base on, but I have not powdered. Normally I wouldn't have brows on either because I normally put my brows on after I've powdered my face, but I just didn't want to come on without brows. So that's what we did. Let's see, what shade do I want to go in with? I'm kind of leaning towards this dreamy shade here. I don't know exactly how it's coming across off camera, but to me, it's sort of just like a mid-tone warm pink. And I'm going to take that on this Sephora brush. This is the number 47. I think technically, well, it says Pro Foundation, but I use this for cream blush. It's like my favorite brush for that. So we're just going to dip right in. It's my first time digging into this at all, so I don't really know like how well it picks up. I should probably go with just a little bit at first and then see. Let's get a mirror and try not to have it in frame. And we're going to start putting that on. So far going on nice flush of color right off the get-go. I tried not to like pick up too much just because I didn't know how, I don't mind a bold blush. It's not really being worried about like how bright it is, but I just didn't know how well it would blend out. So I just didn't want anything too intense that I would have a hard time blending around. I'm gonna go back in. I can definitely see like, yes, like if you take them, like I said, out of out of the palette and like use them individually, it's probably a little bit easier so that you don't feel like you're kind of dipping all over the place, because it definitely is hard to get a larger brush in there, but it's really beautiful. I think you can definitely see the difference. You can see that there's a nice flush of color there. I really love this shade. So far so good. Like I said, blends out really great. I feel like the formula, you could try it with a sponge too. I don't necessarily think that this is a formula that would function like blend really well with a sponge. At least that's my thought. This, I feel like it is a bit firmer. I don't know if that's the right word, of a formula being more like a pomade than like a cream. So I don't necessarily know if that would blend very easily with a sponge, but you can try it. But I just love using this brush, so I'm only going to use this. All right, so I went in and I powdered this side of my face. I just wanted to come on before I finished it just to show you the difference. I feel like the blush really peeks out from the powder well still. So I think that you could just leave it at this if you didn't want to go over it with anything else, and you'd still get a beautiful flush of color. But I just wanted to show you, if you were curious as to like whether or not when you powdered over top, if you just lose a lot of that build up and pigmentation, and I don't think you do. I feel like it's still very apparent. I am going to powder the rest of my face, and we're going to go in with a powder version on top, but just wanted you to see it along the way. All right, we're powdered now, and also zoomed in a little closer because I thought it'd be nice to see what I'm actually doing. I did put some eye base on because I just wanted to clean up the bottoms of my brows, and I like doing that before I do powder blush, just so I'm not then putting the eye base on top of where the blush is, since I bring my blush up here. So we're gonna go with some powder blush now. I'm gonna take this Morphe G40 brush. It's just like a small little fluffy brush. And I'm gonna take the shade powdered part of the dreamy little section here. Oh, I just noticed too, it's nice, they're labeled on the back. Let's see, is the pomade as well? Yes. So that's nice. So if you do take them out, you don't have to worry. You'll know which ones they are. So that's a nice little tidbit. But I did take this out because, as you can see, this is very tiny, and I won't easily fit it in the palette. So I'm just going to go in with this, trying to go too heavy yet. Again, want to see how the formula performs, and just kind of go over where we already had some blush, but intensify it. Ooh, I like. It's blending out very, very nice. Super smooth. Ooh, I like this a lot. So as you can see how that just like amped that up to the next level. Really nice. I think like my only thing I'd say about this is like with how small these are, like I think like yes, like you use powder a bit more sparingly maybe than the cream pomade, but like these are teeny, oh my God, I threw it. It's fine. Ooh. They're teeny tiny. So I feel like you'd go through this kind of quick if you were using this a lot, but I guess that's the thing about a palette is, I don't know, to have more space. You don't want it to be huge. Like if they had huge pans for everything, this palette would be ginormous and maybe a little less appealing to some people. So I don't know. I'm also gonna take just a tinge of this and put it just on the bridge of my nose. All right, so I am really liking how this looks for a blush. So far on like the base product, face product end, I like this. This is a win for me. I am going to now zoom you in a bit closer and let's do an eye look. And then lastly, we're gonna do something on the lips. So come on closer. All right, trying to decide what I wanted to do. I love the tones in here. I'm not gonna lie, I'm more drawn to this palette for like the face aspect of it, just because I don't get a chance to do like my everyday makeup a lot, so I would wear the heck out of this on a day-to-day basis, but for a lot of the makeup that I do, I want something a bit more intense. But let's see what we can do with this. So I think I want to first dig into this deeper shade here called Evermore and like the pomade part of it, and then we're going to use this Royal Langnickel Smoky Eye BMD-421, quite the brush name. I just get the impression that probably going with something that's a bit more like dense when you're using the pomades is possibly for the best, but you know, we'll see. So I'm gonna just start putting this on the outer corner. Definitely not, maybe I just didn't pick up enough, but it's not as deep as I thought it would be. But I think that's like kind of a go-to thing when you're using like pomade versions of things. I know that's like something that people talk about with the Natasha Denona cream to powder formula a lot, is that it doesn't really show up as deep as you think it will be. And I normally wouldn't really use, I don't use a lot of like creams and stuff, even for bases for my eyes. Like I put on my like eyeshadow primer base, whatever I'm choosing to use, and then I go from there. I guess one nice thing with this is that like you can really go in kind of with your finger and soften stuff up. Like look how that did that. Pretty. Okay. All right, what else are we going to put on this? Okay, next I'm taking this brush from Melt Cosmetics. This is a tapered shadow, just kind of sort of your typical shadow brush. And I think I'm gonna go in with the shade Allure, but the powder. I think we're possibly done, at least for now, with the pomades on the eyes. Tap that off, and we're just gonna start placing that kind of over the edge of this. You could go in with like the powder version of this, like of the Evermore that we just used, but I kind of want to like really pinken this up. So I think it was nice to use that as like a base, and then I wanted to see where we could go with these tones. Definitely looks a lot like cooler in the pan. Maybe it's just because of the shade that I'm putting it over, but now it kind of seems very warm. Maybe this palette is just sort of warm, which is fine. It's just not necessarily tones that I gravitate towards. And so that blended out beautifully. I do think I want to add some more depth to it. So actually, I was gonna go in with one of the darker browns, but I think I'm gonna go in with this shade here. This is the powder part of the Bliss combo. And I'm just taking that on this BH Cosmetics brush. It's from an old set. There's not even a point in me getting into like which exact one. And I'm just gonna start putting this in the outer corner, again, just to add some depth. And there we go. I really like the level of depth that that adds to it. And then I think for my lid, I am gonna go in actually with another pomade, and I'm gonna go in with the shade Smitten. And I'm just picking that up on this Morphe JS23, just sort of like a flat brush. I'm just gonna start painting this all over the lid. All right, and then for the lower lash, I'm gonna go back into that pomade from Evermore. And just taking that on this Glamure angled brush. I don't know why I'm tapping that, it's pomade, but I'm just gonna start placing that along the lash line, bringing it pretty much all the way in. Not like reddier, like more red of a brown then, which I guess makes sense in like sort of like a rosy palette. And then I'm just gonna hop in with the same brush that we used on the lid and tap back into that Allure powder, and we're just gonna start buffing that out a little bit, just on top of that. These are very soft and like blendable. Super impressed with the formula. And then I'm gonna take a bit more of Bliss on the same brush that we used with that. And I'm just gonna do that on the very outer corner of the lower lash line and going into up here. And then we're gonna take need more pencil brushes. Then we're going to take the powder of the lightest little duo here called Crush. Oops, just dug my finger into another shade. Lovely. And I'm taking that on this Morphe E18. And I'm just going to put this on the inner corner. Help brighten everything up. All right, so the eyes are completely done. This kind of turned into a bit of a mess. My eyes started watering so bad. They've just been so sensitive lately. And so I had to do lots of like touch-ups and all of that. And then just even putting the lashes and liner on was a bit. So if the look is looking a little less, then it's not the palette's fault. It's me, my application, and just my watery eyes. So let's just move past that and put on something on our lips. So I think with this, I want to go in, what shade? I think I want to take the Bliss pomade, and I'm gonna try using that on this KVD Beauty number 70. It's like their pomade brush, which is like made for like eyebrow pomade products, but I don't know, I just thought it might work fine. But my whole idea with this is at least to first line my lips and then fill them in, and then who knows, maybe we'll even put a bit of a powder on top for like a kind of like velvety finish, but let's see how well this works. Going on really smooth. It's not really like my go-to way to apply a lip product, so application's probably a little bit, but we can finesse that. Although I really like the way that that just applied right there, so who knows? Maybe this will be a new way that I do this. All right, so that's the lip line so far. I'm going in like, try to go so super carefully because I just don't want to like have to wipe half my makeup off. So I'm sure probably if you were more adept at this sort of technique, you could whip through this really fast. Like the product itself is performing really nicely. I just think my application is a little bit, you know, but that's, again, me. Then I'm going to take a little bit of it on my finger and just finish filling it in. I don't even know why I keep trying to do that. Like when you try to like push your lips together, it doesn't feel like there's almost any product on my lips, which is really lightweight and comfortable, which is nice. I don't like know how perfect this is like a finished sort of product for your lips. I'm almost leaning towards that I'd like this as like a lip liner and then to like go in with a lipstick, like cream lipstick over top. But this is still really good and like barely any transfer. So if you really want something that's gonna be like locked in, then that's great. I'm also going to take, let's take a small, sure, we'll take this one from Morphe. It's a JH41, just a small flat brush. And I'm going to take a bit of the powder shade Smitten, and I'm just going to try to stamp that over. All right, so there is the finished look with everything. So for the lips, super comfortable. I'm still trying to decide how I feel about the formula overall. I don't know if it would be, again, my go-to for like an overall lip, but I think like if you wanted to have like just one palette with you, I think this performs great on the lips. I was able to get really crisp lines, I think, like better than I can get with like most pencils even. So yeah, I think it performed great. Very lightweight, very comfortable. Just, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's just I'm not used to the formula, but I do like it. I think the face might be like my favorite way to use this. I just love the tones and I just, you know, I love blush. So anything that's going to give me like a pretty blush, I'm here for it. The eyes, I really do like it and I like this look. It's nice and soft and romantic, even though I think it's like looking a little haggard, but it's just not like a go-to kind of palette that I would gravitate towards for my eyes. But that being said, I am going on a trip in August. We're going to England. I'm so excited. And I think that this would be a great palette for me to bring with me. It would be just awesome to have sort of all in one. I'm even curious as to whether or not this tone here, Desire, it's like very orangey. And I wonder if that would kind of help with my brows. Not that I need a brow product. I just bought like a million of the Melt Cosmetics eyebrow pencils because they were on like clearance at Sephora, so I bought like all the Auburn ones they had. So I'm stocked up in that department for a while, but it's still good to know that you have alternatives or like, you know, just a one-stop shop for anything. So far my thoughts on the palette, I am really impressed. I think it is a great just like all-in-one versatile palette. I think it definitely can function in all of the ways really wonderfully. You know, even if maybe it doesn't end up being like your top formula for that kind of reason, like whether it's eyes, face, or lips, I just think that, you know, it does function for all three really well. I'd be really curious again with the Groundworks Volume 1, just because with the tones it has in there, I think it even has like light enough ones that like you could use like for like a concealer or something depending on your skin tone. And then I bet like it would be great for like an eyeshadow base. All the things. I just think it would be really awesome. So this palette gets me even more excited to maybe try that one day. Again, it'll probably be a while because one, I'm on a no-buy, and two, it's $88 Canadian and that ain't cheap. So anyways, I hope that you enjoyed watching me play around with this for the first time, getting to know the formulas. I've never tried like products like this from Danessa Myricks before. I've only tried her, like there were those like kind of glitter gel pot things that she had, which in all honesty, I wasn't a huge fan of, and it was more so just like the formula wasn't for me. So I'm really excited to be trying something else from the brand. I've always been super curious about everything that she brings out. Her products always seem very innovative and just like well thought out and just really trying to like, you know, be something different in the market. So I am here for that. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun getting to try it out. If you like this video, I'd greatly appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment below, all the things. I greatly appreciate it, and they all help out my channel a lot. If you're not already, make sure to check me out on Instagram and TikTok. I'm Spooky Mama Glam on those platforms as well, and I do have a lot more content in between my videos on here on there. So if you're wanting to kind of like fill in the gaps, because lately there are some gaps, then make sure to check me out on there. I'll also hopefully be playing with this a lot more on those platforms as well. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!